Well, come on in. Come on in. Let me get the lights on. What we have here is the first building from Olathe. It was a section house, railroad depot, and the first post office in 1882. And a year later, the postmaster named Brown moved across the street into a log cabin. So mail was coming to Colorado, which this was the Colorado section house on the railroad, named after a sub-chief, a Chief Ray. And by 1887 or 1888, Colorado broke from the reservation in Utah and killed a batch of people up by Craig. And so they wanted to change the name because the mail was coming to Colorado, Colorado, or Brown, Colorado. Remember, Brown was the postmaster. So it was coming to both addresses. And we found a postcard in the wall when we dismantled this. It talks about Brown and Colorado. It was mailed to Colorado, and the postmaster was Brown, like I said. So anyway, they had a contest. By this time, Olathe was grown up, had bigger two-story buildings and a regular business district and everything like that. And they had a contest and to rename the town because it was confusing calling it both names. So what they did is had this contrast, and the winner was Alfalfa. We're going to call the town Alfalfa. And then the new section boss came from Olathe, Kansas. Said, let's just call it Olathe. And so that's how it got its name. And then in 1948, it was moved to a farm west of Olathe and on the Dickerson farm, and we were given the chance to dismantle it. And 19 people under my supervision dismantled this building in 2 days, and we delivered here, and they were members of the Montrose Historical Society. And they did that, and we found these papers there in the wall of the assets of the Grand Junction, First National Bank, etc. And it took us 7 months to rebuild it. In the meantime, I cut this end of this finger 90% off, and so I can't play guitar anymore. And I broke my cheekbone, and I knocked myself out. It took as much as 4 hours the roof was gone. So it took as much as 4 hours to put one board on the ceiling because we'd use big pry bars and put it into place. And we used all original nails that we caved for the outside. But in here, we cheated a little bit. We now had a nail gun. But you'd have to pry that into place and then nail it up right quick. And it took a long time to water-soaked, well, it dried out, but warped wood in here. So this was over here, you'll see a little peephole over here in the wall. A knothole, whatever you want to call it. And behind that is the original inside where these papers were. And then in 1888 or 1887, they put this wainscot on here. And you can see, if you're sitting over here, you can see where somebody took their pocket knife and threw it at the wall in disrespect for property or something like that. So anyway, any questions in here? This is white gas, and it had little globes set on it. And it had a flash pan where you put it in with a thimble or something, or what do you call it? Eyedropper or something in there, and then fire that, and then you could adjust the light, you know. So kind of a primitive type.
Like the old calendar.
Yeah. On the back of that calendar are recipes. The woman had it in her kitchen, and she just flipped it over, and she pasted her recipes on that, 1892 calendar? Yeah.
Yeah.